crispy.
All right, so we are back with another video. Really, no idea what I'm doing. Just finished up that last video. God, what was on it? The Guardians of the Galaxy revisit of Wave 79, and just kind of grabbing random mini mates. Grab Strong Guy and Blob. If some of you guys remember, this was basically how the X Factor ended during Age of Apocalypse. Was these two throwing down and Strong Guy having a heart attack, being in a coma for a while before he was brought back. But which is kind of weird. I don't know. People don't go into comas when they have heart attacks. Not for very long, anyways. Not for like a year or two, like he did in the comic books. But for the most part, anyways. I guess we're not all mutants that absorb kinetic energy. But yeah, I just wanted to do a cool picture of these two, kind of getting ready to go at it. It is really simple. There is really nothing to this picture, actually, but it is just Blob and Strong Guy. Got to get those two in there versus each other. But yeah, I threw a bunch of debris on the ground, so it's not too simple, I guess. But yeah, these two throw down. Strong Guy's a heart attack. That's basically where the Age of Apocalypse ends for this issue. I can't even remember where it ended for X-Force. I think it was Rain. They find out Sunspot is Rainfire or something like that. It's been a while. But yeah, that's it for this picture. Let's go on to another one. All right, so next shot. Kind of came up with it in the last second, and it turned out very, very good. This is the return of Douglock in the comics. This took place before the Phalanx Covenant, I believe. I can't remember what the whole circumstances of when he first showed up, if that was an Excalibur. I think it was an Excalibur. But Douglock came back, and then the weird thing about this figure, this is actually the interior of Warlock, the New Mutants Warlock. Once you strip off his torso, bulked up torso and head and hands and feet, you have a Douglock underneath. Now the weird thing is, this costume with Douglock is never a thing. It was he actually had a blue and yellow costume, but he did have all the electronic components on his face that we see here and his body. But for whatever reason, Diamond decided to combine the two, and I guess it's better than nothing. But it's not really comic accurate. But either way, we are doing the resurrection of Douglock, of Doug Ramsey, Warlock, in this shot. And we basically have a cemetery. Doug was buried, I think, at Xavier's, and then when Warlock died in an Executioner's song, Rain, Wolvesbane took the ashes from Warlock and dumped them on Doug Ramsey's grave because those two are friends, and then the character was revived. So this house and back is from it's like Fisher Price Little People from the 80s, and it makes for a good stand-in for Xavier's, and some trees, and then just basically having it in the backdrop, and then having Douglock here being revived in the cemetery at Xavier's. So only 7 headstones here. If it was really accurate to Xavier's, it'd be like 100 of them. God, they kill so many mutants. Kidding. But yeah, it turned out really good. Just kind of having him framed between the two gargoyles, and then taking a cool picture, and then making sure all the headstones get in there in the backdrop of Xavier's. Turned out very well. This is that green roll-up terrain that I like to use with another tub underneath it, so it gives it a multi-layered, leveled look to it. Yeah. Basically, and then these fences they came from. Now would be a good time to go to Michael's craft store and the cemetery, the headstones, because those all came from craft stores in their miniature section, seasonal. And then the trees are from their roll-up terrain is from there, and it just really has always worked well with mini-mates. So anyways, that's enough of this shot. Let's go on to another one. All right, so basically this is based off a Wolverine one-shot. I think it was like a graphic novel is what they considered it, or something like that. But it's Wolverine ends up in the Savage Land and Apocalypse is there, and a bunch of stuff happens. There's a dinosaur involved, and a bunch of cavemen and whatnot. This is just kind of a send up to it. Wolverine and this is kind of what the cover looked like a little bit. There were some more cavemen in there, but honestly, having a little bit of a hard time getting it all in there. So this is as far as I'm going to go with it. But yeah, just Apocalypse and Wolverine fighting on a cliff with a T-Rex in the background. And thankfully my son is into dinosaurs. I always thought it'd be useful to buy this T-Rex. But since I got it from my son, he loves Jurassic Park, that's not needed for me to get it. So yeah, just some rocks set up. T-Rex in the background and a cool pose with Wolverine and Apocalypse. Pretty simple. So let's go on to the next one. So this is basically turned into obscure X-Men pictures. We got two more. We're going to do this one. A lot of these pictures so far that I've done, you got to kind of know the lore to understand. And then this is a big one. Siren's not in the same costume as she should be, but people will get this picture if they've read the comics. So basically, spoiler alert, Peter David did this run of X Factor that was really good and kind of would get boring at times. And but it's really worth checking out. It starts out with Madrox. I think it was a limited series or something, but then goes into X Factor, and I think they renumbered it. Who the hell knows? I mean, I hate when they renumber stuff. But anyways, Madrox, a couple multiples one ends up with Siren dating, let's keep it clean, dating Siren, and the other one was with Monet, and then Siren becomes pregnant, and this whole comic series, she's pregnant, and she's, I don't even remember if it was 20 issues, how many there's this huge anticipation of Madrox having a kid. He's freaked out. She has the baby, and spoiler alert, you really should read the comic, but if you don't, this is like one of the biggest spoilers ever. Maybe just skip to the next video in like a minute. But Siren gives Jamie the baby, and because it's kind of like part of him, he ends up reabsorbing it, the baby, into his body after Siren carries the baby for the 9 months. And honestly, pretty horrifying thing to see in a comic. It was kind of nuts in the comic when it happened, but this is basically a send up to it. Kind of crazy. I can't wait to show it to people that will understand it. Like I said, kind of a horrifying image, but still great comic moment nonetheless. But yeah, just one more little obscure X-Men reference in this video that's kind of full of obscure X-Men references. So anyways, that's about it for this one. Pretty simple. The baby's tacked on there, and Siren's freaking out because he's absorbing it. He has a confused face from Peter Venkman from the Ghostbusters box set. I think it's the I Love New York box set. And just a fascinating little scene. So anyways, that is about it for that. Let's go do one more picture. All right, so our final picture, kind of bland in my opinion. It's Storm and Forge. Storm was depowered by Forge back post Dark Phoenix. God, I can't remember what. Yeah, I think it was post Dark Phoenix. I don't think, the Warlocks weren't around yet. It was right before that when she did her whole Mohawk punk rock kind of look. But, Storm that whole thing was Forge depowered her because he didn't want her to join the X-Men or something. Really abusive, really toxic relationship. I mean, they continued on their relationship after that. But he depowered her, and then she found out. I don't even remember how the whole story breaks down. I remember reading and just being like, holy crap, what a jerk. But this is kind of a throwback to the Arizona or Utah Southwest desert, and then Forge in some kind of civilian garb. I almost put him in his X-Men costume, but it just wouldn't have made sense. And to me, it just would have been so inaccurate to the character that I just couldn't put him in a costume. But yeah, basically him and Storm hanging out, trying to work out their relationship. But yeah, horribly abusive side of of Forge himself. So I guess that does it for this obscure X-Men stories. We'll see what happens next. I don't even know what I'm going to do next. But anyways, Hit that like and subscribe button. Check out the link in the description for my Instagram and Facebook pages, and we'll see you guys at the next video. Thank you for viewing. Bye now.